Hello and welcome to another trip report. This time on the second section of the Golden Pass from Interlaken via Zweisimmen to Montreux. I arrived here with the first section with the Luzern Interlaken Express. I already uploaded that video. And from here on I continue the trip. And in Interlaken the narrow gauge and standard gauge trains, they do meet. You can change between the narrow gauge tracks of the Berner Oberlandbahn, but also the Zentralbahn. And of course the standard intercity trains and also intercity express trains. You also find intercity express trains to Germany from here, and I think also Eurocity trains. Anyway, in this video I'll show you the railway station of Interlaken Ost, so Interlaken East, explain you a little bit more about the Golden Pass on this route, probably show you very briefly the railway station of Zweisimmen as well, and then I will show you some views from the train on this route, but also the trains on both sections of the route. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see the first part of the Golden Pass line, so the Lucerne to Interlaken, you find it in the description of this video, or it will pop up on the screen right now. Anyway, for now, let's roll the intro. Before we go into this and show you the trains, I will tell you a little bit more about Interlaken Ost railway station. I arrived here with the Luzern Interlaken Express, and this is the only train on the Golden Pass route that does have a dining car, at least at the moment of recording. If you want to know more about that route, just check out that video. You can find it in the description, and otherwise it will pop up on the screen right now. At the platform you will find screens that will host information about the different railway companies that will use this railway station. You will find 4 railway companies. The SBB is for long distance trains, and this one is also cooperating with the Deutsche Bahn, so the German state-owned railway company, for some long distance trains into Germany. Then you find the Zentralbahn that runs trains into direction Luzern on narrow gauge tracks. The Berner Oberlandbahn also on narrow gauge tracks and is really local. And the railway company that will be taken today is the BLS. These are also local trains, but on the standard gauge tracks. I'd love to go to the Jungfrau, by the way, but that's really pricey. If you know someone who's open to sponsor that, well, let them get in touch with me. At track 1 you will find some lockers, and this is also where you find some vending machines for the Jungfraubahnen, so towards direction of the Jungfrau. Within this railway station, between the front and platform 1, there's a ticket office. Of course, you find some information screens about departing trains, and there are quite a lot of ticket desks over here. Typical for Switzerland, you can also buy railway related souvenirs here. As far as I could find out, there were only ticket counters for the Jungfraubahnen, so for the Berner Oberlandbahn, not for the long distance trains and the other regional trains. At the front of the railway station there's a bus stop. At the central square near the bus stop some old classical vehicles will be exhibited. And at the other side of this square you find a supermarket, and at the side you find some more railway related shops, like a kiosk for example. Even though this is not an official terminal station, it is a terminal station for all trains that do go and depart from here. You won't find escalators or elevators between the tracks, but you will find a ramp, and otherwise they will find stairs to the tunnel that will link the tracks with each other, and also will link the front of the railway station with the tracks. For now it's time to go to my train. There are some occasional trains that will go directly from here to Zweisimmen, but most of the times you have to change trains in Spiez. There will be trains, by the way, that can do the entire Golden Pass line without changing trains, but more on that at the end of this video. Our train on the first section towards direction Zweisimmen, so on the section Interlaken Ost to Spiez, was this commuter double-deck train. It's nothing really special, just a regular commuter train. Of course you find some space for your luggage, but it's not really worth doing a train tour for these trains. So for now I'll show you some views from the train between Interlaken Ost and Spiez. The best views are on the right side of traveling. The first station is obviously Interlaken West. Although you don't need to change trains in Spiez all the time, there are direct trains between Interlaken and Zweisimmen as well. Just check the schedule, because a direct train is of course a little bit more relaxed. You also find different kinds of trains, by the way, from this railway station. This is our next train coming in, but from this railway station, Spiez, you also find lots of trains to Italy and of course Germany. If you take the connection where you have to change trains in Spiez, just make sure that this train that's coming in over here will split up at this railway station, and just make sure you will enter the right train set. If you're not sure, just ask other people if it's the right train set or not. Just like the first section between Interlaken and Spiez, these are also relatively simple commuter trains. I won't do an in-depth train review for these trains. However, I will take a look at the route map, and this is the section of the Golden Pass where these trains will run. We took a train from Interlaken to Spiez, and now we're on a train from Spiez to Zweisimmen. Like I mentioned before, I will tell you a little bit more about the Golden Pass and why these are different trains at the end of this video. For now, I will show you some views from the train between Spiez and Zweisimmen.
It. Come on now, we're making it. Haven't you heard that I like it? Haven't you heard that it feels so right?
Doing a station review of Zweisimmen railway station was not really doable. At the moment we came in, the next train of the Golden Pass line was standing there, so we could hop on board straight away. As far as I could see, this is not a very big railway station, and it's always a terminal station. A terminal station for both the standard gauge trains of the BLS and the trains of the narrow gauge railway line that will go towards direction Montreux. Our next train is already standing here, and it's the train on the right over here. Well, before I will show you the train, I will tell you a little bit more about this section of the route, because you will find two different kinds of trains, and soon there will be three. These are the trains you will find most. These are locomotive haul trains that do have a great car at the front or the back, depending what way you move. You will find two classes, first and second class, and these are panorama trains, at least for the biggest part. There's one regular car attached to this. Apart from these trains, you will also find classical Belle Époque carriages, and those trains are actually way cooler, but it didn't fit in our schedule to take one of those trains. Before I will show you the interior of these trains, let's take a closer look at the railway map of the Golden Pass line. This is the section we'll be taking right now. It will go from Zweisimmen to Montreux and is all on narrow gauge railway lines. From Montreux we will take another train towards direction Lucerne, where we will stay over for the night. As you can see, this section has been mentioned with two lines. These are both the Belle Époque carriages, but also the trains that we'll be taking today. Apart from that, there will be trains soon that will do the entire route without changing trains. But once again, more of that at the end of this video. Since we're talking about maps anyway, if you're interested in other trip reports, below the description of this video on YouTube you find a link to a map, and on this map you find all trip reports I did. The lines do indicate the routes. The train and ferry icons do indicate the station and ferry terminal reviews. This channel is focusing mainly on long distance and international train and ferry traveling, to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. And of course, I'm making more videos, so there will be more lines added to these maps soon as well. For now, let's go back to our train at the railway station of Zweisimmen. At the side you'll find digital route information screens, And our train was actually quite packed. There were not a whole lot of second class carriages, so we just thought we'd take the next train since we have Interrail anyway, and besides that, our reservation was also for the next train, because we calculated some extra time for this trip. However, the conductor allowed us to sit in the first class because we had a reservation anyway. It's not obligated to reserve a seat for this section of the road, but the second class was quite busy for the entire ride. I think there will normally be more second class carriages, because this is why the conductor allowed us to sit in the first class anyway. And also what I saw on other trains on this route is that they had more second class carriages. This is how the panorama cars of the second class look like. They're quite fine, but I couldn't do a proper tour of these specific carriages. Some screens will host digital route information, and at this case there was an older second class carriage attached at the back of the train. Over here you find some space where you can park skis, bikes, and well, this is basically how the other carriages look like. I could do a proper seat tour over here, and I have to say, these seats are pretty fine. Nothing really special, to be honest. At the end of these open compartments you will find screens that host route information, there are luggage racks, and all windows do have a sunscreen. At the side you will find information about the reservations, and that's basically it. Let's walk back to where I am and to the first class. I haven't shown you the first class after all. This is the older second class carriage at the back of the train, what is not a panorama car. And over here, like I mentioned before, you find some space for bikes and skis. The other second class carriage is a panorama car and is much more modern. This was also a way busier. But of course, that's obvious, because this is a really scenic route, so of course you take a seat over here if you can do that. In the middle of the carriage there's a lower level where there's also a toilet, and over here you can enter the train, and this is especially good for people with mobility problems. A little bit more to the other end of the train you'll find the first class. The second class comes, as you just saw, in a 2x2 configuration, and the first class comes in a 2x1 configuration. This is how the first class carriages look like, and the best thing about the first class are the carriages at the total front or the back of the train, depending what way you move. Over here you do have these great panorama spots. The driver cabin is above the seats, so therefore you can have these great views. I just really like this. Most seats do face each other, but some seats in first class do come in an airline style composition. In this case you find a very small tray table in the seat in front of you, and that's basically it. There are not a lot of power plugs within these trains. These trains are not the most modern trains though. There are no overhead luggage racks because this is a panoramic train, but you can place luggage in the special luggage compartments at the end of the carriages, but also between the back ends of some seats. Of course, in every carriage you find the toilets, and the toilets are pretty fine. This is how the toilets more or less look like. They're a little bit different per carriage at my train, but this is how the toilets look like. Pretty fine, but nothing really special, to be honest. Everything worked and it was clean. I guess this is most important. Most seats in first class do face each other. In that case, you find a small table in the side you can fold out to make it bigger, and at the side there's also a power plug for most seats. For now, I'll show you some views from the train between Zweisimmen and Montreux.
Lying here, so hear me out. So let's run, run, run. Pull me in and take me out. Let's run, run, run around. Hot city, hey.
So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you do so, give me a thumbs up. And if you made it all the way to this point in the video, you might consider to subscribe to my channel. Right now we are on Montreux. From here on we will take a train to Lucerne. This is where we sleep tonight. And from there on I will take another train tomorrow to Bern. And from Bern to Frankfurt. And from Frankfurt a direct ICE to the Netherlands. Once again, I hope you liked this video. And if you do so, give me a thumbs up. And for all the other trains I mentioned, there will be trip reports for that as well. See you on my next video. As I mentioned earlier on, I will tell you a little bit more about the different track gauges on this route. The Luzern to Interlaken section is on a narrow gauge railway line, Interlaken to Zweisimmen on standard gauge, and Zweisimmen to Montreux on a narrow gauge railway line again. Narrow gauge railway lines are mainly very popular in mountain areas because they can take stronger curves, and building a narrow gauge railway line just needs less space. This is ideal for rough terrain. Normal standard gauge or broad gauge tracks do have more advantages, so this is why you find this more often. At the moment railway lines were constructed, different countries but even different railway companies build railway lines on different track gauges. Even though international and national standardization of the railway tracks have been made, some countries still have different track gauges. A good example is the former Soviet Republic, but also the Iberian Peninsula, so Spain and Portugal. Spain built broader gauge tracks to stop the French army from interfering into Spain by train. And this is no joke. Within the north of Spain you also find a very big narrow gauge railway line network, by the way. However, their main line network consists mainly of the Iberian gauge tracks, but the high-speed lines in Spain are standard gauge tracks. So this means you find different track gauges on the main lines, and this comes with some challenges. The Spanish train manufacturer Talgo, what is basically one of my favorite train manufacturers because they are very innovative, built trains that can change the track gauge. So they can change between broad gauge like you find in Spain, but also within the former Soviet Republic, to standard gauge. This is really innovative. However, you need special points where the track gauges can be changed, and you also need special trains. Basically, Talgo is the only company that can deliver these trains at this moment. Therefore, at these spots you need these special facilities. You find them a lot within Spain, but also at the border between Belarus and Poland, for example, and China and Kazakhstan. I do have a video on this specific train as well, and I also went through this specific track gauging facility that was on the route from Berlin to Moscow. However, this might mainly be a challenge that is being more or less solved for long distance trains. Most narrow gauge railway lines are not really through long distance trains. These are more local trains, and for most countries narrow gauge railway lines are not the most important intercity railway routes, even though there are a lot of narrow gauge railway lines within Switzerland. This is why at this moment you need to change trains twice. Between Lucerne you need to change trains in Interlaken, from there on Zweisimmen, and from Zweisimmen you have another train to Montreux. But there is a new technique being developed for narrow gauge railway lines and standard gauge railway lines. Although there is a huge delay on delivering these trains, this is what you see, a change in gauge between narrow gauge and standard gauge tracks. So there will be new trains soon on this route that can do the entire route. It will not be all trains traveling on these routes, but there will be a couple of trains per day that run the entire route. And this is how the new trains look like. The first class looks really stunning, I have to say. But I just prefer traveling second class because then I can go more often. I don't know exactly when these new trains will be put in operation, but at the moment of recording, what is September 2021, and editing, what is November, December 2021, these trains are not there yet. Narrow gauge railway lines serve mainly smaller towns and communities, so therefore I won't expect to see this technique on any long distance trains soon. But I really like that they created this, and it creates some new opportunities. Although there are some delays, so there are some technical challenges. And by the way, this time it's not Talgo who's making these trains, but it's the Swiss train manufacturer Stadler that's using a different kind of technique than the Talgo technique, but I won't go into that many small technical details. For now, that's really it for this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. And if you like to support this channel financially, you can also find me on Patreon. Maybe I can make a trip report on the Jungfraujoch one day. You can go to patreon.com/trainviking to find out more, and you also have some extra benefits. Once again, thanks for watching and see you on my next video.